Hello, and welcome to On the Turf, hosted by, I guess today, one guy who's never been on the turf. Obviously, Rohan Tree couldn't make it today for the full episode, so we're going to do just an abbreviated episode as we approach Week 5 of the NFL. As you guys know, on our Instagram, we do power rankings every week as the season goes on after Week 4, and I'm going to kick that off here on our YouTube channel with my top 10 teams currently in the NFL. I monitor this list the entire year. I feel pretty good about my picks today. So let's just start off. Number 10. This was pretty hard for me. There were a couple teams, namely, I think the Houston Texans, who I did not expect to be here, the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I thought all three of these teams could have been the number 10 team, but I would choose the Los Angeles Rams as the 10th best team in the NFL today. I think the Rams would beat these teams, the Buccaneers, the Chargers, the Texans, and all the teams below them, obviously. I think Sean McVay is coaching really well this year, taking a very young roster with really not at all the level of talent they had in the Super Bowl year a couple years ago. Matt Stafford's playing at the top of his game. Puka Nacua, the receiver that's being talked about across the NFL, obviously amazing and putting on an amazing performance and possibly his best performance yet a week ago against the Colts in that overtime win. And also, this team is getting Cooper Kupp back soon. So having Kupp, Puka, Stafford, Kyron Williams, who's coming on, and also for my fantasy team, the Georgetown League, thank you. And I think this team could be a real powerhouse offensively, especially in the NFC, which looks to be short on really elite offenses outside of some of our NFC West teams, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I think this team can make some noise, and I expect them to be a wild card contender and to be fully in the race come December and January. Now, number 9, a team I don't like very much, but I have to admit is very well run and is doing a good job of it this year, the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson's playing really good football, and they faced some backups. They faced Dorian Thompson-Robinson of the Browns last week. In Week 3, they lost to Gardner Minshew. But this team is still playing really well. Lamar's playing really well. He's passing the ball well, especially this past week. Was able to do a lot of good things with a couple of his top targets out, especially. So Lamar's playing really well, and this defense is always going to be well coached and is going to make clutch plays. Granted, the level of competition this team has played has not been that great so far, and that Colts loss definitely is in the back of my mind when putting them at number 9, but it's the Ravens. They're going to be competitive, and with an MVP caliber quarterback, as much as I hate to say it, they're always going to be around this top 10 range. Number 8, a team I really like going into the season. Week 1 wasn't great for them, but since then they've looked exactly as I had hoped them to be. The Seattle Seahawks absolutely trashed the Giants on Monday Night Football. A lot of that could be the Giants and that terrible offensive line. But also, the Seahawks team is a powerhouse offensively and can really turn on whenever they need to. They have a great running game with 2 great running backs, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. And obviously their weapons, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. But then you have their quarterback, Geno Smith, who's continued where he left off last year, still riding back, or he's not riding back, I guess. And he's doing a really good job. He's in command of this offense. I really like their offense. Allows them to be multiple. We saw in the Lions game, they're able to be a high-flying passing offense, but they can also run the ball and kind of play smash-mouth football. The defense is a lot of young playmakers. Reek Woolen, Devin Witherspoon had an amazing game on Monday night. Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams should be coming back soon. And this pass rush is still a little bit worrying for me, but it seems that the run defense has tightened up a little bit, and that'll help this team as they start to face some really good rushing attacks later on. So number 7 on this list was really hard to put together. There's 3 teams, I would say, in the 5, 6, 7 range that I view as very similar to each other right now. But at number 7, I'm going to put the Dallas Cowboys. They were my NFC champion pick. They have a big game, obviously, this weekend on Sunday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers, possibly the most important game of the season yet, especially for the NFC, which will really tell us a lot about both these teams. But the Cowboys, their defense is great. They had a dud against the Cardinals, certainly offensively. Dak Prescott can play really well when he's in the system, when they're not playing from behind. And when they're not playing from behind, this defense is getting takeaways, and this defense is really just able to pin their ears back and play full pass rush against the opposing offense as they did against the Patriots this past week, then Dak can play really well. I'm not sure how Dak will play when he's being asked to carry this Cowboys team, and that'll be remain to be seen. And certainly on Sunday night, we might get a taste of that. But for that reason, this is still a really good roster. It's well coached, especially on the defensive end. Mike McCarthy certainly has some limitations, but still a pretty good coach, all things considered. At number 6, I have the Detroit Lions. I think this team is just really solid across all sides of the ball, and we talked about that last week as well. I think they're just a really well-balanced football team. We saw against the Packers, that was a big statement when in Lambeau, playing away. We know that this team was able to succeed a lot last year, especially in that winning streak at home. But being able the past couple of weeks to get 2 big away wins, that's big for this team. They have a really great running game, an amazing offensive line that really allows them to control the game. Jared Goff's playing good football. Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're getting Jameson Williams back soon, which should add another element to their offense. Sam Laporta has emerged as a new threat, and Jahmyr Gibbs hasn't even been unleashed yet. I'm listing all these names because that's how many names are on this team, and we haven't even gotten to the defensive side of the ball. I just think this team has a lot of different ways to win, and that's the kind of thing that allows you to win come January. And I expect this team to win the NFC North, and they're clearly, I think, have cemented themselves as the best team in that division, and we'll see. I think this Lions team, the sky's the limit for them as long as they're able to keep Jared Goff protected. At number 5, a team that lost big in week number 4, but this is still a really good team. The Miami Dolphins defense is not good. The defense needs fixing, and I'm not sure if Vic Fangio, despite how great of a coach he is on the defensive end of the ball, can fix it with the personnel they had. They didn't have their best player, possibly Jalen Phillips, on Sunday, and that pass rush wasn't able to get much pressure on Josh Allen, and Josh Allen played a perfect game of football, literally a perfect game of football. And this defense will be the reason why, if we're looking back, when we look in January, why this team didn't make the Super Bowl, this defense is probably going to be the reason why. Offensively, they're still really good. I think Buffalo is just a really well-balanced team overall and was able to respond both offensively and defensively, and certainly we'll talk about Buffalo a little bit later. So they were able to essentially play the football they wanted to do in Miami, a couple turnovers here and there, and that allowed them to get behind this game. But this team still dropped 70 in the NFL, which is insane. Tua is still playing really well. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They're going to be able to feast on a lot of teams, just maybe not the Bills, who seem to be a better team right now. But we'll see. I think these two teams face off again, I think in December, and we'll see how these two teams do then. Number 4, a team that I personally am not overly enthused about how they're playing, but they are 4-0, and that can't be ignored. The Philadelphia Eagles. I've been on record saying on the show a lot that I think this team is primed for regression, and it seems to me that on the field they're regressing a little bit, but the record hasn't done so. They're still able to win these games, and that's because of their offensive and defensive lines. They're simply ahead of their competition in terms of playing in the trenches, with the amount of depth they have, with how well coached their offensive line is especially. Allows the running game to take shape, and when people are playing close to the box, when people are trying to stop the running game, Jalen Hurts can sling it deep to A.J. Brown, to Devontae Smith, and that's where this team can get you, and that's what Jalen Hurts did on Sunday against the Commanders. Now, do I think that the Eagles should have ran away with that game against the Commanders? They should have. The matchup said that they should have. Sam Howell has been the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. The Eagles have one of the best defensive lines on paper in the NFL, but they still were the Howell was able to keep them in the game, and maybe that's a testament to the Commanders. I do think once the Eagles start playing some really top flight talent in the NFL, we'll see how this team shakes up, because I think offensively there still seems to be some lag, I guess, in terms of how well tuned their offense was last year and now looking at this year. But they don't face a lot of these good teams. I think they play Miami in week 8 or 9. Until then, they could be just winning, and they're not even playing their best football. So if they're not playing their best football and they're undefeated right now, that's still a pretty great team and definitely number 4 in the NFL. Number 3 is Kansas City. There's not much I can say about this team. They tend to play teams they should beat by a lot, very close. We saw that last year. The Jets, Zach Wilson obviously had a great game. The defense was playing really well, holding calls aside. Kansas City is still Kansas City. This defense is better than it has been in a while, I think. Steve Spagnuolo, despite the fact that it got kind of carved up by Zach Wilson, I think their defense has a lot of great young talent. Travis Kelce, we don't need to talk about the whole Taylor Swift thing, but we'll see if he still hasn't been able to make as big of an impact as he has usually. But Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid make all things possible, and I'm not going to lose faith in this team. I've been burnt by that before, and that will not happen again. I think Kansas City still a top 3 team in the NFL, but I think Buffalo would beat Kansas City today if they played on a neutral field. Buffalo proved a lot to me in Week 4. I picked this team to win their division, but I thought after Week 1 against the Jets that this was a team that may have peaked, and maybe not, because the one thing that I've always been on Buffalo about is the run game. I felt that was the biggest thing, actually, allowing Josh Allen to take the pressure off of him and to really allow the offense to be funneled to the running game. They really hadn't been able to solve that since Josh Allen has come on, and really since Sean McDermott's been there. And the running game has really opened up a lot of possibilities. And Josh Allen, the second thing was Josh Allen not throwing deep all the time and being able to throw underneath and really dink and dunk down the field. And those 2 things are happening, and Josh Allen is playing the past 3 games the best of his career almost. He's leading the league in pass rating, I believe, in touchdowns, in completion percentage. He's really playing top flight MVP football. And again, this defense as well, now switching to Sean McDermott as the coordinator, their pass rush is really amazing. They have a really great rotation. The Trey White injury certainly is going to hurt them in the secondary, but Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, they're still pretty good. And, this team still doesn't have probably their best defensive player back, Von Miller, who's going to make their rotation even more destructive. The Bills have been really good in September the past couple of years. That's not lost on me. And Josh Allen can be prone to just amazing football and really bad. But I like to believe that this team maybe has turned a corner, and maybe they're not as Josh Allen dependent. And I think that running game is going to allow him to play smarter, allow them to really eat away at the clock, and then allow their pass rush to really control the game. But number 1 in the NFL is not the Buffalo Bills, is the San Francisco 49ers. There's not a lot I can say about this team that hasn't already been said. Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion, is the MVP right now. He's playing amazing. Kyle Shanahan, maybe the best coach in the NFL currently in terms of just schematically being able to get players in space, just playing and making sure that as offensive talent, everyone gets to contribute, and just playing really smart. And everything seems easy for the Niners right now, and I think that's the biggest compliment I can give them. Nothing really seems difficult. Brock Purdy played, again, nearly a perfect game. I think he had 1 incompletion against the Cardinals, and I really hope Brock Purdy starts to get some love. It seems that because of his Mr. Relevant status, people don't give him enough love. But I think Brock Purdy's playing amazing. This offense is amazing. This defense hasn't been as good as it's been in previous years. I don't think it's a talent issue. I think offenses are just playing this defense a little bit different, and I'm sure they'll adjust. But I think top to bottom, San Francisco 49ers probably the best roster in the NFL, possibly the best coach, and are just the most well-composed. Brock Purdy doesn't make mistakes. This is going to be a great game against the Cowboys this week, but I am going to take the Niners in that game. I think the Niners are just the better team right now. They're playing at home. But yeah, so I think the Niners are the best team in the NFL right now. I would pick them to go to the Super Bowl. I'd pick them to win the Super Bowl. But after all, we are just entering Week 5, so we don't really know anything right now. But yeah, that is my top 10 teams of the NFL. Be sure to check out our Instagram. We're going to be posting all of our power rankings, including mine, Rohan, and Shree's, for the next couple weeks as the season moves on quickly as it is. We're already 1 month down. It's going to be a really exciting season, and we can't wait to share it with you guys. Make sure to check out our YouTube. We're going to be posting our regular episodes starting back next week with everyone back together. And keep an eye out on our Instagram as well for picks of the week. And you can check out my favorite picks. I pick against the spread. So if you guys have any, interest in that, make sure to check out my picks specifically. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. My name is Arjun Ryan, and I'll see you next week on the turf.